Hey peeps, welcome to another video. Today I am down in the sewing room and this is a very real view of what the sewing room generally looks like, at least on my side. And I am going to be talking you through my PDF pattern collection today. This is going to be the final installment of my pattern collection videos. I have done the indies, I've done the vintage, I've done the big four, so McCall's, Butterick, Vogue, Simplicity, Burda, New Look, and the quick sew ones that I have. Is that all of them? I think that's all of them. So there are lots of other videos and I will put a card up here for you with a link to that playlist if you're interested. And I've said it before and I'm gonna say it again, pattern collecting and sewing are two totally separate hobbies. Okay, so I'm going to show you the patterns I've got. The first ones are all of my bag collection. So the first one is the Swoon Patterns Annette handbag, and I have made this twice. Little doggy face. I've made the handbag version and I've made the commuter tote version. Big Bird has the big version and I have the little one, and I'm going to make at least two more of these, one of each size. So the way I store my patterns is in these blue folders that I get from Amazon, and again I will have it linked down below for you. They have like scoring lines here, so that actually will fit very large patterns in there, which is great. And obviously with the elastic on them, they will stretch to accommodate the larger patterns, which for something like the By Hand London Romano Coat you definitely need. And recently, if you watch my vlogs you'll know this, I went and got images of all the different pattern drawings, line arts or book covers for these folders, because I was just writing the details of the pattern on the little label that comes on the side, and I was finding that because I have so many, and this is how I also store my traced patterns as well as my PDFs, I was getting very confused with what I did have, and especially with the big four ones, all the numbers were running into one another. So this is my method for storing them. With the pictures on, it means I can easily flick through the file folders that I have them in and look for the pattern that I want. And yeah, so far it's working really well. So that's the first one, the Annette handbag by Swoon Patterns. I actually store them in magazine files that I've got from Tesco's and Sainsbury's. I think this is a Sainsbury's design, but I find that really helpful. So because I can flick through the patterns that way and see the pictures on the envelope or the cardboard folder. Next up we have the Appaloosa bag by Lawson, which is a So Sweetness pattern, and I have made this once. I liked the bag, but I think it was one of those, you know, the creative process. I keep going on about it. I'll put a picture here of the creative process. But I fell out of love with it, and before I fell back into love with it I'd given it to a friend because she had really fallen in love with it, and she still uses it I believe, so that's really cool. I do want to make another one of these because it was a really nice size and it had lots of pockets in it, so I am going to give that one another go. But the Appaloosa bag, so this is the Emmeline Bags Necessary Clutch Wallet, and you will all know how much I love this pattern. I have a sew along for it, which I'm going to list up here for you, and I have made lots of them. I have made lots to sell. I've actually got three of my own, but I am planning a couple more. And this is also a tier on my Patreon page. If you would like me to make you one of your very own, you can support me on Patreon and I will make one to your custom desires. So yes, colours, fabrics, whatever you'd like, we can chat about it. And yes, and again, I'll have my Patreon listed in the description box down below. But if you haven't made the Necessary Clutch Wallet by Emmeline Bags, it is amazing and I highly recommend it. This is the Lunar Collection by Chris W Designs, and it comes in 3 sizes. So there is the full moon, the half moon and the mini moon. I think quarter moon. but one is handbag size and the other two are kind of overnight bag size, and they even come with a sleeve that will fit on top of your wheelie trolley. You know, the bit that pulls up, there's a sleeve that fits on top of that pull-up bit, which I am loving the idea of that. This is on my hashtag 2018 make 9. I need some new luggage. I really want to make this. I want to make one of every size because I would like to have a set, as well as like the toiletry bag and things like that, all in the same fabrics. And I have the fabric, which I got from Lanzarote. I just need to get the faux leather and all of the hardware. All of the hardware for all 3 of these sizes comes to just over £100 from So Hot, which is a UK supplier of Emmeline bags hardware. So yes, this is going to be a project that I attempt a little bit later this year, but I am going to make all 3 of them, which I'm very much excited about. Next up is a pocket supplement, which is a Chris W Designs pattern. So this is for an interior pocket set, which will hold a pen, sunglasses, a phone, and then a bigger slip pocket at the back, which you can apply to any other bag. This does work very well with the Lunar bag collection, and I intend to use it for that, but there are lots of other options that you can put it in. It's slightly too big for the Annette handbag sized bag, but having said that, it still fit, and I put it in and it's really useful and I love it. So this is a genius thing. If you like making your own bags, this is a great one to have. Next we have another Chris W Designs, and it's the Penny Inn, and this is another wallet, and I am going to be attempting to make this in April. I know Chris is bringing out a video tutorial for this. The actual pattern is 100 pages long, but that's because the instructions are really thorough, because there are lots of very similar sized bag pieces in this, and I can imagine that they would get confusing if you don't follow the instructions exactly. So it is a large pattern, but it does appear to come together fairly straightforwardly, and yeah, I'm going to report back at the end of April and let you know how I get on with this one. But it's beautiful, and definitely can be used as a wallet if you like big chunky wallets like I do, or you could have it as a bag because you can add a shoulder strap to it, which I think is visible. I'm going to put pictures up here, which is why I'm sitting over this way. So yeah, you can put a shoulder strap on it and use it as a handbag as well. So there's that one. Next we have another Emmeline bags pattern, and it's the quarter note clutch. I haven't made this one as yet. Jen from the Sewing Report has made this, and I've always looked at this pattern and gone, oh maybe, and then when I saw Jen's I was like, oh yes, I must have it. So yes, I haven't made it as yet, but I know Jen has, so you can check out her channel if you would like to see what it looks like. And again, I will report back when finished. This is another Emmeline bags, and it's the Boyd Street bowling bag. I think this is a discontinued pattern, and I think that's why she said she was discontinuing it, and that's why I'd bought it. I really like the look of this one, and I think I need to make all these bags. I need to make all of the things. That's why I buy all these patterns, is because I love them, so I need to make them. Right, this was a free pattern from Flamingo Toes, and it's the Slouchy Summer Hobo Bag, and I have actually made this one, and this is my highly embroidered green, khaki green hobo bag that I used exclusively for ages until I made the Annette bags. Yeah, it's great. I love it. I like big bags though. This is a large bag. I tried to downsize it and add a gusset to it so that it had a bit more support at the bottom, and I ended up making that just larger bag. So rather than mum getting that one, small girl type creature got that one. But yeah, highly recommend this one. This is another freebie from Emmeline bags. It's the retreat bag. So you know, I was mentioning earlier that I want to have a toiletries bag that matches my overnight set from the Lunar Collection. I was thinking of this one. It has a frame in it, so the bag stands up, which I think would be really cool. So I'm excited to give that one a go. And finally, I have the expansion pack for the Necessary Clutch wallet, and this is to make the mini version. And I have made a few of these. My sister-in-law has one of them, and she's also bought the extension pattern for that as well. I personally prefer a much larger wallet, so I don't make this for myself. I make this for my commissions if people ask for it, but it is a great extension. But you do need to have the original pattern for this one to then make sense, because the instructions for the majority of this are in there. This one just includes the pattern pieces for the bag, the flap, and the credit card slots that you need to make. All the instructions are in the main pattern. So I've had to move things around because you guys are actually sat on top of an IKEA Expedit unit, and I have got all my patterns stored in underneath that, but then this part of my sewing table butts right up against it, so I have had to move that to get to them. So the next lot of patterns that I'm going to show you are my Lacala patterns. I love Lacala. I think it's a wonderful resource, and I use it a lot for commissions, because with Lacala you pick the style and then you insert the customer's or your own body measurements. You can also tell it that you have a longer torso, a shorter torso, higher apex, lower apex. You can do all these little tweaks to it and give it about 20 minutes, and it drafts a pattern that is designed specifically for your measurements. Now, it's not foolproof, and I still recommend you make a muslin, because there will be small tweaks that you do need to make to it, but you are starting off with a pattern that is pretty much drafted for you, which is amazing, and it's so reasonably priced. They're around about $2.99, or if you have seam allowance included, I think that adds another 50 cents onto it, so they're very, very reasonably priced. The downside is you only get a line drawing. There are very few that have actually made up garments attached to them, so you have to use your imagination, and the instructions are interesting. Most often they are translated from Russian into English, and the translations are good but not perfect, and the instructions are very brief, and there are no diagrams showing you what to do from point to point. So you do need to have some experience, or you need to have somebody who has experience, is willing to help you to decipher those for the slightly more complicated patterns that they do. Having said that, they are a great resource and I love them, and I have an entire magazine folder full of their patterns, so let me show you which ones I've got. So the first one is the drape neck top, and it's 1269, and I need to make this because it has a cowl neck, but then it has so it's a flat t-shirt, and then it has a cowl drape over the top of the front, which I think would be great in a white jersey, because that could be very see-through, but because of the double layer of fabric, I think that would work for some opaqueness. And you all know how much I like a cowl neck. Kind of like the sleeves on this as well. They've got little poofy bits on the sleeves, so yeah, I think that one's going to be really interesting. Now these ones, you do have to, it prints out on A4 and you do have to stick them together. You can have it printed on A0 and get a copy shop to put it together for you, but Lacala don't separate the A0 pages so that the pattern pieces are intact on one piece of paper. So I had net printers print me a Lacala pattern. It was 2 pages long, and I still had to stick the 2 pages together because they'd chopped off sort of the bottom half of a skirt portion on the pattern. So whilst there is that option, it is not as finessed as some of the other ones, and you can understand why, because every single pattern that they print out is different, and the lay plans that they do are usually done to accommodate the best usage of the space, and so it's different every time depending on the size of the pattern piece. So yes, there is that warning as well, but again, for the price and the designs, I think they were worth it. So the next one I have is 5689, and it's another drape neck top with flouncy sleeves. I've actually used the sleeves, oh, lipstick. I've actually used the sleeves from this pattern for my dressmaker's ball gown that I wore to the dressmaker's ball, funnily enough, and I really liked it, and I wanted to make this top. It has the reason I've been hesitant to is because it has a side zipper on it, and I'm not a huge fan of tops that have zips in them. that you then, because I like to tuck my tops into skirts and things, and having a zip can be a little bit uncomfortable. So I do need to make this one because I do really like it, and I want to see what the actual top itself ends up looking like. So there's that one. Next we have 4373. Now you might be quite surprised by this one, but I was having a love affair with draped necklines, and I think I actually bought this just for the bodice part of the dress, not the skirt. It's a pencil dress, but it has some pleating at the waist here, which I think actually could be quite interesting, but I really like the draped neckline on it, and I was thinking that because it had a waistband, I could take this skirt off and put a much more me skirt onto the bottom. So there's that one. Now about 10 years ago, I was absolutely obsessed with the bodycon bandage dresses that were copies of the Hervé Leger masterpieces that he made, and when I saw this pattern, which is the 4299, it just screamed to me that it was that kind of bodycon dress, and it is designed for stretch fabric, so stretch laces, and I'm guessing, I don't know. See, this is the thing. I have a couple of those bodycon dresses, and I'm actually selling them now because they're way too small for me. But the fabric is listed as rayon, and they are like really thick bands of stretchy elastic that seem to have been sewn together in some kind of fabric. And I haven't ever come across that type of thing available to buy readily for dressmakers. So if you know where I can get that, let me know. But this dress was just reminded me so much of those bodycon dresses that I was like, ooh, and I could have it tailored to my size. I haven't made it, but I want to. So yeah, there's that one. Next up is 5619, and again, I think I bought this more for the top portion than the bottom portion. I have actually made a muslin of this one, and that's why I know that muslin, you have to muslin these first, because this one I hadn't worked out that I could tell it I had a long torso, and it did need lengthening in the torso for me. But I really like the sleeves on this one, and I like the top part of the bodice. I actually might wear that as a top, but again, with these kind of tops, I would want to tuck it in, and I find that if you tucked it in and then it had that line there and that during the day movement and stuff, so the line became visible, I don't like that look. So I think I would actually end up using this as the top of a dress, but it's a really pretty pattern. This one, it's 1839, and this has so many pages. This is why I've not made this one yet, because the thought of sticking all of those together is oh yeah, it's depressing. Oh gosh, there's 120 pages. So this is how it comes. So you get the line drawing, you get the lay plan for sticking your PDF together. And does this one have instructions? No, this one does. Some of them don't even come with instructions. Some of them just assume that you have the knowledge that you need to put them together. So I absolutely love this dress. This is a typical Sean thing. When I was much younger and I first moved to London, I had found a Monsoon dress that is basically this. It had a double ruffle. It was a wrap over dress, sleeveless. I think it had a slightly more flared skirt than this one does, but yeah, it was basically this dress, and I loved it so much that I bought it in the 2 prints that were available. I have no idea what happened to that dress, but given that it was a size 8, it definitely wouldn't fit me anymore. But I bought this pattern because I was just like, I can recreate that, because I used to love wearing that dress. I used to feel so fancy in it because it was a light Georgette material with a lining, and with the ruffles it was really girly and flirty. But I thought, oh yeah, I remember walking up and down the King's Road in high heels, like shopping on a Saturday afternoon in that dress, and just feeling amazing. Like, yeah, I love that dress. I need to recreate it. So that's why I bought that pattern. But I Now the other thing is, when you buy these patterns, you have to tell them that what size you want it printed on, so A4, A0, and that's the only option you get. You don't get the multiple options that you do with, say, like a Sew Over It, where you get the A4 and the A0 sent together. So if I decide that I want to get this printed at a copy shop, I'll have to buy the pattern again and have it, and say that I want it to be delivered on an A0 file rather than an A4 file. So given that they're $3.49 or something like that, including the seam allowance, that's not the end of the world. And I may actually do that, because the thought of sticking this together, just no, I don't want to. But yeah, I'm really excited about that pattern, so I need to do that. Okay, next up we have the 983, and this is one of their very, very old ones, and it's actually a pencil skirt pattern, and I thought this would be really interesting. This was before I bought my Craftsy Sloper classes, which I will do this year, but I thought this would be an interesting way of seeing what a pencil skirt that is made for my dimensions look like as a pattern, because I have the By Hand London Charlotte skirt and I love it, and I love the versions on everyone else, but I followed the tutorials to do a full butt adjustment basically, because I was a size, I think I was the smallest size at the waist and then 4 or 5 sizes bigger at the hips, and I ended up with the weirdest, pointiest darts. And I've now realised, this was years ago, this is years and years ago, I've now realised that because there was so much of a difference, I probably needed to split those darts rather than just have 2 darts at the back, have more darts at the back. But I'm no drafting expert, so I could be talking absolute nonsense there, but I thought it would be really interesting to see what this pattern looked like. Having said that, I've not made it yet, because you guys are so lovely, and you know, the encouragement you give me to try different shapes and wear different shapes and things like that is amazing, but I just don't feel as comfortable in that style as I do in the fit and flare style, because I just feel it's so much easier to move in. So I will make some pencil skirts, and this is going to be a really good one to start with. So there's that one. So the next one is the 9286, and I think I bought this one because I really liked that it was sort of a Galaxy Roller Murray inspired dress, and I just, it was an interesting shape. I don't like the belt on it, and I wouldn't do that. I would do something else. I'd probably make just a plain belt that fastens around the back, but yeah, I really like the bodice on this one, and it's very similar to quite a few Vogue patterns that I already have, and the lovely Lynn has lent me her Vogue pattern for me to trace, which I will be doing next week so I can send it back to her. I think that was why I picked this one out, and again, I have so many of these that are slightly outside of my comfort zone because of the price of them. Because they're so reasonable, it feels like I could experiment more with the different patterns that are available. So yeah, there's that one. Next is the 4547. It's another wrap dress. It's another multi-layer wrap dress, and again, this one is beautiful. I really want to make this. I have lots of very floaty fabrics that are going to look awesome in this. You can have some real fun with the skirt, with layering different colours over each other. So yeah, need to pull my finger out and get that one made. It's another quite a thick one. It's not as bad as that original wrap dress that I showed you though, because that's bad. Next up is the 4368, and this is very reminiscent of a couple of the retro Butterick patterns that I actually do own. And I think that was what drew me to it, and again, the fact that this one was going to fit me out of the packet way easier than the Butterick ones were is what made me hit buy on this one. I really like this one. I need to make it. You could have some real fun with colour blocking on this one, with the necktie and the bodice pieces and then the skirt. So yeah, that's a really fun dress. Need to make that. Next up is the 9995. And this is very similar to the dress, the Vogue 8947 dress that I did the sew along for, and again I'll link that up there. It has the midriff panel, princess seams and little cap sleeves on this one, as opposed to the other one which has no, 3/4 length sleeves, that one. Yeah, 3/4 length sleeves. Again, this is so me. I need to make this. I think it would look really awesome on me. So, and again, colour blocking. You could put a really dark colour on the midriff band and then sort of lighter colours, and that would give it a real illusion of nipping you in at the waist. So there's that one. Next is the 1920 jacket, and I have actually made this. This is a great example of how you can take bits and pieces from these patterns and tweak them to make them your own. I used the top portion of this from the waist up to make my red coat, which you guys saw last Saturday when I wore it out. I used the bottom of a McCall's pattern for the skirt portion of that coat, and I've made this jacket for a couple of other people as well, and one of those ladies had a very large bust in comparison to her waist, and this jacket fit her so well on the first muslin. So that's another reason that I absolutely adore La Cala, is because they are problem solving so many of the issues that you may come across with slightly not disproportionate anatomy, but slightly unusual proportions in a person's anatomy, including my own. So yes, there is that one. Next is the 9791. This I bought because of the detailing around the top. I thought that was really interesting. I would like to see how that was done, whether it is actually panels or if it was tucked under and then top stitched down. I haven't made it, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, that's a nice dress, and again, I would probably add a waist seam in and put on a different skirt, but I just really liked the proportions and the interest at the top of that dress. This one is the 4519, and it is a copy of an original McCall's 1950s pattern. So many different retro fashion reproduction companies have made this dress, and I was so excited when I saw this one, and this one unfortunately was a fail because the pleating that they'd done over the bust had no shaping in it, and all of the other patterns that I've seen, the back portion has darts and then the pleats that go over the top mould to fit that darted portion so that they do actually mould over the bust, whereas this one just sat flat on the bust, which was very unflattering, which was unfortunate because I'd bought this for myself and for mum, and it's just not right. So La Cala is not always perfect, but then what pattern company is? So yes, there's that one. Now this one is the 2083 skirt, and they actually do this in 2 lengths. I mistakenly bought the knee length one and I actually wanted the shorter one, but given my current preferences for skirts that hid mid-calf, I actually might just lengthen this one instead. Now this I have seen all over Pinterest, and it's, I believe, an Alexander McQueen kind of, but lots of different designers have done this skirt, sorry. And again, you can have some real fun with colour blocking the overlay and the underneath, or you could line the overlay with, so if you could do it, you could do the whole thing in black. You could line the overlay of the skirt with like a bright red tartan or something, so that when you move you get this flash of colour. Now Dueling Designs, Dawn from Dueling Designs and Myra from That Sewing Blab are doing the Pin It Sew It competition again this year, and I wanted to enter last year with this piece and another that I'm going to show you in a second, and I just didn't have time. So I'm hoping that this year I will have time to do that, although my April sewing plans, I've already made those and they are so full, so I need to have a look at the expiry date of that competition this year, but fingers crossed I can actually enter this one. The next pattern is the 4614, and it is a copy of the very famous shrug that was worn by the First Lady at the inauguration of the current president. And I believe McCall's, it might be Vogue though, I think it is Vogue. I think that one of them has a jacket and dress combo that you can buy from the Big Four, but La Cala did it first. I really want to make this. This is totally up my alley. It's a cropped jacket that's going to look awesome. So yeah, that was what I was going to make to go with this, and I think that would look really cool as kind of a faux suit. So yeah, that's all my Lacala patterns. I have a huge wish list, but I need to stop buying new patterns and actually make the ones that I currently own, as you will see by the end of this video. Okay, so next up we have some Jennifer Lauren patterns, and the first one is the gable top. I don't know why it took me so long to buy this one, and I'm not going to let it take me ages to make this one because it's beautiful. It's a slash boat neck t-shirt with different sleeve options on it, and I can see myself wearing this with all the skirts and trousers that I've been making recently. Definitely need to get that one made. And when I bought that one, I also picked up the Juniper cardigan, which again is a very me kind of cardigan. There are two lengths that come with this one, but obviously I will be making the cropped one. I like the other one, I just don't think it will suit me. Mum is very, very kind and is knitting me all of the cardigans that I could possibly desire in all of the colours, but it's not the most exciting knit. It's brainless knitting, as she says, so she can sit and watch the TV while she's doing it. But I like the idea of being able to make myself some cropped cardigans as well, and not relying on Mum to have to knit me all of the colours that I want, because I want all of the colours. So there's that one. And then I have the hunter tank as well, and I have actually made the hunter tank in a red rayon. I very much like it. I made it with some of my wide leg trousers so that I could wear it together, because I really like jumpsuits, but they are a pain when you need to go to the bathroom. So I like the idea of having matching sets of things that look like a jumpsuit but aren't. And whilst I do really like the hunter tank, I did have some issues with the neckline. Having said that, I didn't cut the pieces on the bias, which is probably why I was experiencing problems with that. So yeah, I'm going to make some more hunter tanks. Next up is a little pattern that none of you may have heard of, and I've only made about 20 of them. It's the Seam Work Astoria. Yeah, this is a great pattern. I have tweaked it, I have lengthened it a little bit, which I actually need to make myself two versions of this, because for the super stretchy four-way knits it actually is a little bit too long on me, but for the two-way stretch knits, I think that makes sense, it's just right. So I need to trace another version off without lengthening it. I've also added cuffs to the sleeves because I much prefer that the way they look to just turning it under and hemming it, and also it's just a preference of mine for fit as well. I like how they hug my sleeve. Hug my sleeve? Hug my wrist. The sleeves hug my wrist, there we go. Next up is the Vanessa Pousset Wanted tee, and this neckline is everything. I have made 2 of these now, and I need to make some more. I prefer the Sewaholic Renfrew for the finishes because it has cuffs that go around the waistband and the arms, whereas the Wanted tee is just a turn up and finish. Having said that, I do have a shiny new cover stitch machine which I need to make friends with, because I think the finish on that would be, if I can get it to work, the finish on that is going to look very professional, which would probably mean that I don't mind just turning it up and finishing it that way. But the neckline of the Wanted t-shirt is awesome. I love it. I'm actually planning on using this neckline on the Simplicity bodysuit that I made in the red and white striped fabric from Girl Charlie, and I think that that would look amazing. It will look better than the super deep V plunge that I've made so far. And I will, because I've got the top of the Wanted t-shirt to fit me, I will be able to use the top of that pattern to make sure that the underarm part of the bodysuit fits me better than the current one that I have. So there's that one. This is one of my very, very first PDF patterns that I ever bought 6 years ago, I think, and it's the Tilly and the Buttons Matilda blouse. Matilda? Yeah, Matilda? Yeah. Can I say that again? Matilda? Yeah. And I saw this. She started making this on the Great British Sewing Bee episode, and then I saw loads of people in the sewing blogger community making this, and I was just like, oh my god, that's amazing, I need that. And I think it was Stitching Odyssey's version that tipped me over the edge to buy it, because it was just stunning. It was a sheer stripy white confection, and the sleeves were sheer but the bodice had another lining underneath it so that it wasn't, but you could still see. Oh, it was beautiful. If I can find a photo I will include it for you. I bought it and I've never made it. It's not me. It needs to have definition at the waist, and I find these kind of things very uncomfortable to wear tucked into trousers and skirts and stuff, so I've never made it. But yeah, it was I think it was my very first PDF pattern actually. Oh, in fact no, it was the Colette's Sorbetto was the very first one, but yeah, this was pretty soon after that one. Next we've got a Lily Sage and Company pattern, and it's the Sea Change top. I have made this once for myself, but I picked the wrong fabric. It was way too stiff, and I ended up donating that to the lovely Kirsty that I used to work with, and she wore it and loved it, which is really cool. I actually did use this as the bodice part of a Mother of the Bride dress with a La Cala skirt pattern that I Franken patterned onto it to copy a Trina dress that we saw in Net-a-Porter, and it was very Phryne Fisher. If you guys don't watch Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries, you need to, for the fashion if nothing else, but I love them. She is such a saucy lady. But yeah, I need to make another one of these because it has everything in it that I like. It's cropped at the waist but baggy, so if I made it in the right fabric, I think I'd like that one. So yeah, there's that one. And then the final one that I have here is the Neilson Tanya Culottes, and I have made this once, but I used it as the bottom of a playsuit. I put an Anna bodice on top of it, and if you've watched my Anna dress, by Hand London Anna dress Love-In, then you will have seen this one. It's in a white cotton with little strawberries printed all over it. I love it. I don't love my legs, so I never wore it because all of the short Annas that I make I wear in the autumn and winter with tights and knee-high boots or thigh-high boots, and this was a very definitely spring summery dress or playsuit, and yeah, didn't look great. So this was the original Tanya Culottes, and I know Neilson has released these again and with lots of different options. I think I bought the paper pattern. Yes, I bought the original release and then I bought the revised pattern because she has done different lengths. So there is the shorts, the kind of midi length, and then the culotte length. Yeah, I've not made these yet. She's taken some fabric width out of the legs of these so that you can get them onto the fabric panels, because the originals were super wide. But I don't think there's much of a difference, so I need to make some more of these. Yeah, more of these in my future. It's getting darker outside, so the lighting's changing, sorry. So the next one is the Victory Patterns Jackie dress. I love this. I love this so much. I've made 2 so far. I've definitely got more planned. I can't imagine myself making the sleeveless version just because the types of fabrics that I want to make this out of are not conducive to be worn in heat, and sleeveless to me means yes, you can layer over the top of it, but it's to be worn when it's hotter outside, and I prefer scubas like this and Ponte Romas. So yeah, I can't imagine making the sleeveless version, but I have made middle version a couple of times, and there will be at least 1 or 2 more of those made in my future. Next up we have the Friday Pattern Company Sunny Dress or Top, and I have made one of these. This is part of the Sew My Style challenge for the year, and it's the only actual Sew My Style pattern that I've made so far. The Romano Coat I haven't made as yet, but I'm making it in April, and the Cali shirt I decided was just too far out of my comfort zone, so I used a Butterick pattern instead for that one, and I'm doing the same for April as well. The Tilly and the Buttons Marigold pajamas. Tilly and the Buttons Marigold jumpsuit is lovely, but it's not me, so I'm going to use my wide leg trouser pattern to make myself some trousers. Because as much as Sew My Style is about experimenting, I also know the limits that I'm willing to go to. So this was one of those experiments, and you guys have been absolutely lovely and said that it looked great on me, but I am still feeling a little bit out of my comfort zone in that one. I think it was poor fabric placement but having said that, I had very little fabric left to play with, so it was a case of just get it on there and hope that it fits, and it did. So yeah, it's I love the shape of the t-shirt with the curved hem, and I made a few tweaks to the pattern. I added cuffs to the sleeves, I added a hem facing to make hemming that curve easier, and I added a neckband to it as well because I just prefer how neckbands look on jersey items or stretchy items. So with the changes that I made, I do really like the Friday Pattern Company Sunny Dress. Okay, strictly these aren't PDFs, but they haven't fallen into any other category. I mean, technically they should be vintage, but they're not because they're modern reproductions of it, so I'm going to include them here because this is where I store them. So it's the Decades of Style Pattern Company, and this is the 1930s capelet. I saw a sew along by an Australian blogger, and she was doing this capelet, and she'd actually done a full bust adjustment for it as well and showed how to do that, and I was just like, sold! I need one of those. I mean, how perfect is that? Like, yeah, need to make that. So there's that one. And when I was buying that, I also got the Decades of Style butterfly blouse because that is beautiful and very me. So I need to make that one. I already have about 4 fabrics that I could definitely make this with. Ooh, I wonder if those rayon, that orangey rayon with the cats on it would work for this one. That's a thought. And then finally, because Lisa Comfort has made so many of these and they look awesome on her, the 1940s Empire waist trousers. I really want to make those too because I think they would look really cool, especially with that top, with that jacket over the top. So yeah, that could be a really cool thing to do for a month, couldn't it, to make an entire outfit out of those patterns. So yeah, like those. Next we have another Victory Patterns, and it's the Trina, and this was actually a birthday present last year from my ex, which was really sweet of him. He's printed out, he has a super fancy printer, so he'd printed out the packaging on beautiful paper, and has printed out all the pages for me. He didn't stick them together, but you know, there's limits. But yeah, I really like this one. It's a very me dress. I need to make that. Oh, I need to make all the things. Next up is the Kelly Anorak by Closet Case Patterns, and it's the lining extension, and I'm really excited about this. As you know, the Kelly Anorak has been on my to make list for 2 years now. It's on my hashtag 2018 make 9, and I did have this khaki fabric in mind with glittery sequin sleeves because of a jacket that I'd seen, but given that the jacket that I'd seen was worn as kind of a throw on throw off kind of piece by the people that were wearing it, the celebrities that were wearing it, and I wanted this to be a fairly hard wearing jacket, I decided, and you guys helped, that the sequins was a bad idea. But how about faux leather? So I found some amazing faux leather in a bronzy colour which I wanted to make, and then I realised that the lining I was proposing to use for the Kelly and the sequins worked perfectly together, and that the lining was actually a beautiful crepeback satin and probably ought not to be a lining, or probably ought to be a dress with sequins. So then I've gone back to kind of, what fabric do I use? And then the khaki twill that I was going to use is something that I really wanted to use on a trench coat pattern. So I've actually found some other brushed twill from fabric.com, which is where I got the original khaki one from, in a nutmeg colour, and I think that's going to look amazing with the bronze leather for the sleeves. And then I have some chocolate biscuit printed cotton silk for the lining, and I will use a really slippery coat lining for the sleeves because that fabric is not quite slippery enough, but it will make an awesome lining. And then I have some faux fur for the hood. So this jacket will come into existence this year, I promise. Next up is the Ralph Pink Patterns, and this is a recent purchase, and it's the Coco trousers. I like the high-waistedness, I like the fact that it skims over the hips and it comes much more fitted at the ankles. I don't know if this is going to suit me, but I am going to give these a try because I think, well, I mean, I want to be that model. Doesn't that blouse she's wearing as well kind of look like an Anderson blouse from Sew Over It, which we'll be seeing in a minute. So yeah, I want to try those because I think they'll suit me. The other Ralph Pink pattern that I have is this little cropped jacket, which has a very high difficulty rating, and I think that is because of all of the top stitching details that you need to do, and you need to do that perfectly for it to look good. So I'm thinking I may or may not attempt that, but I'm going to be making this next month. You will be seeing this in my sewing plans. Unfortunately, this is one of his patterns that he's retired, and he is bringing those patterns back out, but when he released them, they came in single sizes, so this was a size 10, I believe, I hope. So yeah, this one isn't available at the moment, but keep an eye on his site because he does re-release the older patterns that he had released previously. Next, we've got an itch to stitch Oceanside dress. Now I saw this and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I like the little cutouts, I like the shape of it, I like the waist detail, and I bought it, and then I never made it because I think it is a fairly young looking pattern. I mean, if I lengthened the skirt, possibly it could work, and then do maybe stretch lace or something in the little cutout details. It's so cute on her though, and I think I just wanted to be her in the pattern in the picture, and I'm not that shape, I'm a different shape, so I'm not sure if that one ever will get made, but I really like the pattern, and I love Itch to Stitch design, so I think she makes some beautiful clothes, and a lot of you guys recommend her to me quite a lot, and yes, I agree, a lot of them are awesome. Next, oh, this is another very early one. So I was reading the blog Honig Designs, and she has released the garden party dress, which we have here, and it was a free pattern, so I thought, okay, I'll download that, thanks, great, awesome. She'd made some beautiful versions herself with really lovely details on them. Now, I believe that there were some issues with the sleeves on this, that the sleeves were coming up quite tight, but she drafted it for herself, and she's not a professional pattern drafter, so the fact that she was brave enough to put this out there for the general public to have a go at was amazing to me. I haven't made it as yet, but you can see why I downloaded it, because the shape is very me. So there's that one. Oh, this one is actually Big Bird's dress, and it doesn't include sewing seam allowance, and you've got to tape it all together. It's a birder pattern, and it's a maxi style dress, and I actually really like this. To the point where I was like, I'll tape it together for you, I'll trace your size out and add the seam allowance for it, and yeah, I'll copy it and make one for myself too. Haven't done that yet. That was 2 years ago, at least 2 years ago. Sorry, Big Bird, I am crap, but yeah, that's a really nice dress. I need to make that this summer. Yes, need to make all the things. I keep saying that, don't I? It's like a recurring theme. Ah, right, now this is the Rebecca Paige Riviera blouse. I love that. I love that so much. I have no idea if that's going to work with my big boobs. All that extra ruffles there, not sure, but I love it. It's a really fitted blouse pattern as well, so yeah, you can do it without the ruffles. Quite excited to make that one. I think I'd seen a lot of Lydia Elise Millen's channel, and she was wearing lots of ruffly blouses like that with under jumpsuits and with trousers and things, and she was making them look awesome, so I was like, I want to look like that, which is why I bought that pattern. We shall see. Next is the Kamati Boxy jumper. I have made this. The lovely Tracy sent me some of her fabric from Spoonflower, and I made it in a minky, and rather than put a hoodie on though, I put a roll neck on it, and I left off the kangaroo pouch because I didn't have enough fabric to pattern match perfectly, and I didn't want it to look weird. But yeah, I absolutely love this pattern. It is so comfortable, and this is the this and the Seamwork Astoria. I smooshed those two together to give me my dream backwing jumper, which was fitted at the waist and had these cuffs on it, and then had the backwing sleeves and a roll neck, and again, that is one of my all-time favourites, so love that. Finally got to the By Her London patterns. So I have the Romano Coat. I have traced this. I had this. This is a monster of a PDF, and there are 5 A0 sheets that I had printed by net printers, and to the people that stuck this together by hand, you are amazing. But yes, I am making this in April. I have no excuses not to now, so I just need to cut my muslin out, make sure it fits, do any tweaks to it, and then just sew this up. And By Hand London have also done a sew along for this pattern, which is awesome. So because there are a few tricky parts, which just one illustration, if you're not overly familiar with that particular technique, might not be the clearest. So yes, there's that one. Then we have the Orsola dress by Hand London again. I love Elise Alexa's versions of this. I also really love the one where she put a wrap over circle skirt on it, and I fully intend to copy her, because as much as I love the skirt on this, I want to love it and I want to wear it, but I just don't think I will. I'm going to give it a go though. I'm going to give it a go as is, and then I'm going to also put a circle skirt on it like Elise Alex has done, because that looked awesome. And then we have the by Hand London Alex dress. This line drawing does not do it justice. If you haven't seen the photographs of this, I will put that up there instead of the line drawing, because the line drawing I get has to display the the technical features of the dress, but it is so pretty and so up my alley, and yes, I need to make that. Two more in this box. Next up is the Pauline Alice Sorrel trousers. I have seen a few people have made these and just fell in love. They are much more tailored than the wide leg trousers that I make currently. Mine have a back zip. These are a fly zip with pockets, and pockets at the front, welt pockets at the back, or patch pockets. And yeah, I really like this. Mum also really likes this, and might be giving these a go as well. So this is going to be done very soon. And then this was definitely my first PDF pattern, because again it was free, and it's the Culottes Sorbetto top. And I remember I hadn't sewn anything but cotton for probably about 10 years, and the times that I'd sewn slinkier fabrics to that previously had been an unmitigated disaster. So I don't know what possessed me, but I cut into some beautiful silk to make one of these tops, and I didn't make muslin, and it looked awful on me. It was appalling. It was not good. So I didn't finish that top. I think it's still in there somewhere. I'm going to do a my early makes, look at my disasters video at some point in the future. But yeah, I never finished that top, which is such a shame. I wonder if I could rescue it now, because all it needs is its neck binding and its armholes binding. But it didn't suit me, it was awful. But I then used the Colette Sorbetto and I cropped it, and I used it as a pyjama top, and that worked really well for me because it was big, baggy, but it had the pleat detail at the front, so it had some design details in there. But yeah, just no, it's not for me. So yeah, lesson learned, make muslins and don't cut into super fancy silk when you've not sewn for 10 years and really not got a clue what you're doing. But there you go. I have one more box to show you, and I think they're all sew over it patterns. So yeah, let's put these away. So first up we have the cowl neck dress and t-shirt. I haven't made the dress version. I've made two of the t-shirts. One got donated, one I have kept. I really like the look of the cowl neck t-shirt. This, when I joined the PDF club last year, this was the pattern that I chose as my free pattern, and I like it. I recommend it. So there's that one. Then we've got the Coco Jacket. This one is printed on A4 paper, so I've not stuck this one together yet. I have a few plans for this in mind. I have some beautiful abstract geometric shaped tapestry that I think would make an awesome one of these. And so yeah, I want to make that. Then I joined this year's PDF club, and if you joined before a date in February, you could have one of the slightly more expensive PDFs instead of just the PDF only patterns. So I got myself the Joan dress. Now my best friend bought me some amazing stretch cotton from Truro Fabrics with very large feathers on it, which I think would look very cool as a Joan dress. So I need to make myself a muslin and work out if I can bring myself to make that fabric into this dress, because it's a pencil skirt. So I'm like, oh yes, I love it, but would I wear it? So there's that one. Then we've got the Sew Over Ella blouse. I have made 3 of these, but I have made them all in knit fabrics. I do need to make one in a woven because I think it would be a really cool blouse, and it would work really well with my wardrobe, especially given all the high-waisted skirts and trousers that I make. But so far 3 of those in knits. Next is the Sew Over It tulip skirt. I have made one of these and it was in a black crepe from Sew Over It, and again, it wasn't really me, but it was a very comfortable pencil skirt to wear because of all the detail with the pleats at the hips. I actually found it very, very comfortable to wear, but I didn't like the shape on me, so yeah, I think I donated that one. So I do have the Sew Over It Betty printed pattern, but I also bought the scoop neck and sleeve combo and add-on. So I haven't made the Betty for myself as yet. I don't know why. It's totally me, and there's no reason why I haven't made that one yet, but I haven't. And part of the expansion pack was the V-neck for the Betty as well, so I have printed out the V-neck and the sleeves separately to the scoop neck and the sleeves, as you do. And then the final one is the Sew Over It Anderson blouse, and whilst I love the look of this when it's tucked in and the way Lisa wears it, I am also very aware that it has a lot of fabric below the waist, and you have to really have it tucked in, and then even then work out some kind of way to make it stay together up at the top because it is so voluminous. So I have some plans for this. If you watch my vlogs about a week or so ago, I bought a ready-to-wear top from Topshop that had the crossover bagginess at the top, but it then went into an elasticated waistband, and I'm thinking that I want to do something like that with the Anderson, or maybe ties like the Ella, and it could be that the Ella is actually works out as a much better option, but I like the set-in sleeves of the Anderson, whereas the Ella have grown-on sleeves that you seam at the top and the bottom. And I also like the gathers that go over the bust on the Anderson. So I'm going to have a play with that one. And Lisa also mentioned on her channel that she'd seen somebody at one of the shows wearing an Anderson that they'd made in a jersey. And that I can imagine in a grey mall jersey, but caught in at the waist in a stretchy waistband. At your actual waist height would look awesome with cuffs on it as well. So I'm very tempted to have a play around with that one. Just need some time. But yeah, that's it. That's my entire PDF collection. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was. Oh, actually no, that's a lie. There are 3 more bags that I need to print out and add to that, and one of them is the Stargazer tote. There's a messenger bag, and then there is the podium bag as well, because I am part of the Bag of the Month club. Mum and I have joined that, and I haven't printed those patterns out yet, but I will be doing that soon. And there's a new one coming out tomorrow, but I don't know what that is yet. And then I also have the orange lingerie Boylston bra, which I really need to make. I just need to stop saying that I need to make underwear and just make underwear, don't I? Liz from Liz Sews has done some amazing sew alongs with those, so I could follow along with that. I shouldn't be too terrified because she's holding my hand. So yeah, I have those 2 patterns as well, but I haven't I have those 4 patterns as well, but I haven't printed those out. But yeah, that's my PDFs. I have so many things. I have so many wonderful things that I want to make. I need time. I need time, and I need to stop making TNTs, don't I? Or limit myself to 1 TNT a month. This month I made the 6696 shirt dress, I made the Anna dress, and I'm making, mind you, I suppose the Eve, Sew Over It Eve dress isn't a TNT yet because this is a revised version of the first one. But I can see there being lots of those. Although, having said that, I have loads of wrap dress patterns. I have 2 that I've shown you, so yes. I need to start being more adventurous and just making new things and not relying on the old things that I know suit me, which is so easy to do. But anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed having a look at all my PDF patterns and the waffle that went along with them. If you have, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!